Hi guys, I'm Daddy Freeze, convener of the Free the Sheeple movement and leader of the Free Nation in Christ. I greet you and I bring glad tidings. How are you all doing? If you're watching me live, I'm across all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're watching me on TikTok, you could send me money guns as gifts. If you're watching me on uh, Facebook, send me stars. How are you doing, Ada? So let's have this conversation: baby mamas and single mothers. You see, I know everyone, especially young men, want to marry women that are pure or virgins, as the case may be. But sadly, the society does not allow, or the society does not encourage young women to be pure. And it has everything to do with the Western world. You see, if Nigeria, in as much as today I'm going to give credit to the imported religions, Islam and Christianity, and our traditional values, our imported religions still gave chastity and virginity high value. So did Islam and Christianity. So did our traditional faiths and customs. In Yoruba land, a woman who wasn't, in traditional Yoruba land, a woman who wasn't a virgin at the point of marriage was disgraced at the wedding. The marriage had to be consummated during the wedding ceremony, not even the night. While the wedding is going on, people are waiting to see the stained bed sheet. What destroyed those beliefs are Western values and the Western media. Western values, to an extent, Western education, and the Western media. You see, if you look at the message of the Bible, forget the fact that the Bible is our book, is not our book, is the Bible still speaks strongly on chastity and morality. If you know the only four laws given to the Gentiles, we are Gentiles. Uh, the Jews are the children of Israel, the Gentiles are everybody else. There were only four laws given to the Gentiles out of the laws of Moses, 613 laws. For the Gentiles, only four laws were given: do not eat meat sacrificed to animals, do not eat blood, do not eat strangled animals, and do not stay away from immorality. Out of only four laws given to us, which can be found in Acts chapter 15 and Acts chapter 21, we were told to stay away from immorality. So the Bible frowns at immorality. Even though it is not a sin to sleep with the person you are about to get married to after betrothal. Some scholars will suggest the betrothal is an engagement. Some scholars would say it is worse than an engagement. It is a bit more advanced. I would say as long as a couple is engaged and they want to marry, they can engage in intercourse, especially in today's world. I've not seen a biblical scholar that can prove to me that the Bible says it's a sin. The Bible says immorality is a sin. Sleeping with the person you want to get married to is not immorality and it's not fornication. There's nowhere in the Bible where sleeping with somebody you are engaged to is described as fornication. The problem is you don't sleep with people who you are engaged to. You literally sleep with everyone and anyone. And that mindset does not come from Christianity. Islam also preaches a similar gospel, a bit of variation here and there, but almost an exact gospel. Traditional Igbo culture, traditional Hausa culture, traditional Yoruba culture all encourage absence of immorality, chastity, and even virginity. So, where did we get the ideology that we're using from? Two main culprits. One, the toxic Western media. Toxic Western media. You need to understand. You see, if not for the madness that these BH people, I'm not going to mention their name before people start suggesting I think like them. If not for the madness they employ, when they first came out and said they had a problem with Western education and Western world, I completely understood. I wasn't swayed by the emotions. I completely Western values are very toxic. You don't have a clue. The world is now moving into a multi-dimensional media space and also a multicultural media space. We're beginning to get influenced by the Chinese. The Chinese are not promiscuous. There are still so many Western values that you will struggle with in China. Same thing with India. India was also colonized by the British. And what Winston Churchill did to the British, to the Indians, a lot of people will suggest that it's in close quarters to what even Adolf did in Germany. I don't want to mention their names because of community guidelines and all, but you know what I'm talking about. But guess what? The Indians did not take the religion of the West. The Indians also did not take the cultures of the West. The Chinese banned the Western media. You cannot have Facebook in China or Instagram. I totally agree and understand why. Because along with Facebook came the American domineering culture. The Christianity practiced today in Nigeria is the American version of the gospel, the toxic one. The ordinary gospel did away with our beliefs. Yes, it had its own faults, but in a particular subtopic, which is morality, it wasn't faulted. Yes, when Christianity came, they did away with our traditions, they did away with our gods and our ideologies, but it still taught us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And those days, when we first started the Free Nation, one of the books I recommended that everybody reads, and if you haven't read that book, you have to just go and read that book, is Arrow of God. Chinua Achebe is one of the texts you need to read. I gave 3 books, none of them Bible. Before you can start reading Bible, you have to read 3 books: Animal Farm, Watership Down, and Arrow of God. These books will give you an insight into what the mindset of the people are. So you understand how the people think. And you have to be deep enough to be able to understand them. Watership Down is like Animal Farm, but it's a story about rabbits. And it is also very deep. Arrow of God, which is one of the best books, shows how the white man came and gave us the religion, showed the flaw of our, because if you remember, the chief priest was punishing the people, and the white man came to their rescue. And sometimes our cultures were barbaric, sometimes they were wicked, and that's what allowed the influx of the British version of religion. Oh, yes, it's a twisted version, don't get me wrong. I'm giving our slave masters no credit, but their faults do not include immorality. Immorality came from America. I'll take this a little further. When the Catholic, the Methodist, and the Anglican churches came, the Catholic Church, for instance, had evolved over the many years, had gone through its purifications and all that. And by the time it came to Nigeria, it came with hospitals, it came with schools, and so did the Anglican and Methodist, even the Seventh-day Adventist churches. They all came with so much to offer. Even though they stole a lot and they destroyed a lot, they still came to offer something. It is Pentecostalism that created the problem. You see, and in fairness to Pentecostalism, when Charles Fox Parham and William Seymour started Pentecostalism, they wanted to break away from the hierarchy system of the Methodist Church. They wanted to create a structure or a system where people can experience the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And what they evolved into after they passed on was crazier than even the Methodist church they were complaining about. They now came to fake tongues like we have in 99% of our churches. Speaking in tongues in the original Pentecostal movement started by Charles Fox Parham was real tongues, Chinese language, and writing Chinese. It was not Reskiribika Kachkarabaka Chacha. It wasn't Olosho Sanusi. No, it was proper languages. Do your research. Go and read about a lady called Agnes in 1900 in Charles Fox Parham's Bethel Bible School, where they experienced the first tongues. Moving away from that, the Pentecostal church or the Pentecostal movement now merged with the prosperity doctrine of the Americas in the 50s. That's the 1950s. And by the time it came to Africa, it was already a disaster waiting to happen. And when it came, you see, it's like the Catholic Church, the Anglican, and the Methodist churches all had their issues, but they came with advantages. They came with schools, they came with hospitals, they came with their advantages. The Pentecostal church had the problems all those other churches had without one advantage. Mention the advantage of the Pentecostal church. Charlatans behind pulpits, greed was taught as need. And you see, let me tell you something here. You can preach all you want from morning till night about morality. But the moment you do not teach morality along with contentment, women would sleep with men to make that money you are telling them is their destiny. Somebody will be blessed this week. As long as they don't have work, their blessing is going to come from somebody's phallus. Na person kporo na him go bring her blessing. As long as you are teaching greed, as long as you are showing an example of greed, as long as you see, control is very important in the Pentecostal church. The pastor must be seen as a god or a near god. Don't get me wrong, I also have a lot of control in the Free the Sheeple movement, because if I cannot put you in your place, if I cannot drive you out, if I cannot stand up to you, you will take over the church, because you are like little hillbillies. You will take over the church. So I need to put certain structure in place. You cannot do this, you cannot do this. And I understand. But you see, the control in the Pentecostal church has gotten to an alarming rate. Let me explain. The pastor needs to be seen as a god, because the message they are selling is a lie. And you need to believe in the pastor. You need to see the pastor as supernatural for you to believe the stupidity he's selling. You need to be afraid of the pastor. So they have to use fear to control you, so that you'll be too afraid of them and their imaginary powers and imaginary fire altars and imaginary whatever it is they're cooking. You're going to be so afraid of them that you're not going to be able to question what they're bringing. So, once again, they preach, even the Pentecostal church will tell you, stay away from immorality, do not fornicate, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, they are teaching you how to be greedy. How are you going to get that thing without compromising, when they will tell you your case is different? Meaning you never walk, but you want chop. So when the Western media came, the Western media came with emancipating women, which had its good sides and its bad sides. I always tell people that America is not correcting Nigeria. America is creating an opposite problem of Nigeria. I'll explain this. Bow leg and K-leg, none of them good. Straight leg is normal. Bow leg or K-leg are wrong. I remember a joke about a pastor who was praying for a girl with bow leg. Praying and praying, oh, I'm praying. And the girl's leg started to stretch, and the girl's legs started. Then he continued praying and continued praying, and before you knew it, the girl got bow leg. You see, America is K-leg to Nigeria's bow leg. It's not a correction of our problem. It is creating an opposite problem. It's like too much money and too little money. Too much money will create problems, just as too little money will create. The idea is to have enough. America gave women too much freedom. So they didn't, men in Africa were dominating and cheating women. So the American media, and that's why some dictators do not allow that media to permeate into their societal structure, because they're used to having their societies run in a certain type of way. So when the African system. The African system believes a woman should not enjoy intercourse. So in many tribes, they have circumcision to cut off the pleasure parts. The um, African system encourages women to be below men, sometimes deny them education, which are all wrong. A woman should be equal to a man. But don't be fooled. The Western world doesn't create equality, it creates dominance. So they beat down the man and make them docile and domesticated and raise the women. So in Africa now, you're living in a hybrid. Now, in the US or the UK or the Western world, in as much as women are dominant, the society and the legal system still finds a way of accommodating the men as long as they are not excessive. In Africa, we have a hybrid. We have a neither here nor there societal structure with women who are emulating the Western women. So, of course, our traditional value. Someone says the Bible doesn't say equal. The Bible is not the best book when it comes to creating a society. The Bible is a book the Jews used, written according to Jewish culture. The New Testament, on the other hand, if you read Galatians chapter 3, verse 21 or 28, Galatians 3:28, which I will read to you. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, neither is there bond nor free. There is neither male nor female, for we are one in Christ. So even though the husband is the head of the family, there is still some semblance of equality even in the Bible. But the problem with you is you're going to read the Old Testament as biblical reference, which created the problem in Nigeria, the cherry picking and all that. But I don't want us to make this so much a gospel session as a relationship session. Now, because of this imbalance in the society, women are now standing up to men. The Bible shows hierarchy. You are right, Ada. It doesn't show discriminate. It actually shows discrimination, but doesn't. If you understand the in between, the message in between the lines, you will see that the Bible actually encourages raising women. I'll give you an example. The first person that saw Christ in his resurrected state was a woman, and she was sent with a message to the men. So those are subtle messages. And if you understand biblical context, you'll be able to see it. But you see, the problem with Pentecostalism is it doesn't understand biblical context. It just goes with this charismatic, this spiritual ideology, and much of it is based on human stupidity and misinformation. I was on Instablog today. There was a girl who was calmly recording turbulence on the plane, and somebody was there shouting in the background, this plane will land, this plane will land, this plane will land, my plane is going to land in Jesus' name, calling Jesus. I laughed. I'm like, you see, the stupidity of our race is alarming. That turbulence not even be more, my what do they call them? There's mild, moderate, and severe. Yes, it's not even severe turbulence. It's mild. What I saw there was mild to moderate turbulence. If you don't see severe turbulence before, you will know. But you see, they don't know anything about aviation. The plane is shaking in the air. They are afraid. They have no knowledge. They begin to look for their gods up and down. You know? So we need to take that into consideration. And thus, a situation has been created where our women now are not what they used to be, not what the Bible prescribes, not what the Quran prescribes, not what our traditional societies prescribe, but a hybrid of all sorts: feminism, multi gender societies, and all what have you. So we have come to a place where women no longer are what they used to be during the time of our mothers, which also is a good thing because our mothers endured a lot in the name of marriage. Now, we have a major problem. Most men cannot live with the kind of women that their society has groomed. And as a result of all what we're going through, we now have a lot of baby mamas and single mothers. Divorcees, baby mamas are women who have children for other men. Single mothers are mothers who are raising children they have for other men by themselves. A baby mama situation is a situation where, from my understanding, you have a child for, let's say, Burner Boy. Burner Boy monthly sends 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira to his child, and every now and then comes to spend time with his child. That's a baby mama situation. A single mother situation is you have a child for a man, he'd never accepted the child, so you take care of the child alone. Now, out of these situations, we have girls who got pregnant when they were very young, maybe in secondary school, and had to raise the kids by themselves. We have girls who were in serious relationships and were jilted. We have girls who were in relationships and their spouses or their partners passed on. We also have girls or women who were previously married or previously in serious relationships and now separated or divorced, as the case may be. Now, with the influx of these single mothers, I want to tell you something here. The character of a woman is not is not defined by her status. A bad woman, if she like, may she be virgin. And a good woman, may she like, may she don't born 7 children. You would still see the difference. A lot of people now are sending me messages, Daddy Freeze. I'm in love with this single mother. Daddy Freeze. My wife is this person's baby mama, or the woman I'm in a relationship is with this person's baby mama. What do you advise? And I'm going to open up the phone lines for just a few minutes so everybody can say something about this. But here are my thoughts. I've been in relationships with women who are not married. Uh, I've been in relationships, I've dated a virgin before. My very first girlfriend was a virgin, and we were both immature, and there was still something she was looking for outside that she had not found. Um, when I now got married to my ex, at least she was nobody's baby mama. My eyes see shaggy. Unless I want to lie to you, my eyes see shaggy. In as much as I had my own faults, which were many, she had some deep-rooted issues. And there was a day she was telling me something. I remember us having this conversation, and we're fighting, and she said something. She said that she was a good girl before she met me. She had only been with however number of people she said she had been with. Can't remember. And she kept herself and blah, 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 which I didn't agree with, but that was her narrative. And I kept thinking in my mind that maybe if you had been around the block a couple of times, maybe you will not be this toxic to me. I kept thinking about it like that. And to be very honest, because I felt like you are telling me that you've been a good girl. This thing, this behavior way they give me, I don't care if you're a bad girl. I don't like this behavior. Of course, I was also very immature in that relationship, and I also didn't behave quite well. But I'm trying to be balanced in this discussion, so I don't put all the blame on her, because maybe if I were a bit better, then maybe that might have rubbed off on her. But you see, I was also, she was looking for a father figure, which I was not. And I never planned to be anybody's father figure. Up till now, I'm not Tastebud's father figure. Sometimes I'm one of Tastebud's children that she also has to join and raise, because sometimes I behave like a child. So I wasn't that mature, but I can find a way of working it out with Tastebuds. With her, I couldn't, because I wasn't what she was looking for. And I think about it. When I got with Tastebuds, it was a bit tough, because she's a divorcee, and most people will not want to marry a divorcee or be in a relationship with a divorcee. And because they don't want to be in a relationship with a divorcee, they tend to miss out on all the experience. You see, a good woman, if a good woman goes through divorce, she doesn't become bitter, she becomes better. Especially when the divorce was not her fault. If na because say they do weary, they divorce you. Anybody will marry you go still marry weary. But if you were cheated and they divorce you, or you get divorced, or you learn lessons from that, and if you're going into another marriage, nobody wants to be divorced twice. Nobody wants to be divorced twice. That you are divorced 2 times. Nobody wants to be divorced twice. Please, if you're watching on TikTok, send me money guns. I'll appreciate it. Nobody wants to be divorced twice. Nobody wants to be divorced, but you see, you go into a marriage and you see that it is madness, you're going to end up being divorced. But the problem is, nobody wants to be divorced twice. And I'll take this a little further. We have to create a balance. And I used to encourage my kids to, some of them said they don't want to marry, some of them said they don't want to have kids, you know. And I used to leave them in their thoughts until one day, their mom and I sat down and looked at the situation. In old age, you need a companion. One of family members, one of our family members, just passed on recently, and loneliness was a problem. You see, once you get into your 50s, men no longer want to sleep with you and give you the attention that you were looking for. You see, relationships are beyond sleeping with you and giving you money. Relationship is companionship. The two of you do things together, the two of you plan together. There was a day I was in 1004. I was living in 1004 then. And I used to drive my Range Rover. And if you remember how that Range Rover was, it was clean. All my cars are always clean. And then there was this Toyota reversing. I almost went to fight the guy. The guy almost touched my car, then go forward, then come back, then almost touch my car. And at a point, it came close to touching my car. I was watching, I could see the car park from my house, from my bedroom upstairs. And I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? And I was about to go out and fight them. Like, hey, when I'm blind. When I saw the old woman in her 70s directing the husband, who was probably in his late 70s. He was struggling to walk. So you can imagine trying to park the car straight. And I was like, look at this couple. They're an old couple. At that stage, money doesn't mean too much. Intercourse does not mean too much. Beauty does not mean too much. What they give each other is companionship. A dog cannot give you that companionship. Most of our children these days just want to have a puppy. They want to get a dog and take care of their dog. It's what they all do. You see, you're going to get old. And although the dog is a nice companion, the dog cannot help you in decision making. And if you don't have children, it will get to a stage where you will experience loneliness. So, in as much as we're encouraging women in toxic situations to get divorced and walk away from toxicity, we must teach them that you need a companion. You can't do it on your own. You can't. You think you can. You can't do it on your own. You don't need a toxic companion. You need a good companion. And it is also good to have children of your own, even if now one. It is good to have children of your own. The message should be, don't get into bad marriages. Your mother is not a good choice of giving. I've learned the hard way that parents, I was sitting down with Taste Buds today and we're analyzing decisions our parents helped us take. Baba, if I were to score my parents, I'll give them maybe 10 over 100. My dad, maybe 2 over 100 with regards to decision making concerning my life. That 2 self now say I did nice. My mother, maybe 30 over 100. Or maybe even 50. Maybe stretch my mom's a bit, because my mother worked with me. She allowed me to take the decisions. She guided me. She didn't take decisions on my behalf. My father wanted to take this, but I severed that. I nipped it in the bud. And same thing with Taste Buds. If you look at decisions our parents have taken for us, they've not been good decisions. Steve Harvey was saying something the other day. He said, what God is showing you, God did not show your mother. So your mother can't understand it. Your father can't understand it. Now, if you have a mature father who understands that his children are different and wants to see them evolve, the only problem I have is a lazy child. If you want to sew, I'll buy you sewing machine. If you want to paint, I'll buy you watercolor. If you want to be a doctor, I'll send you to school. I will not choose what you want for you. I will guide you. I will give you advice. I will give you advice based on knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, or my understanding of your strengths and your weaknesses. I will not want to see my life in yours, which is what my parents, my dad, for instance, and my mom to an extent at the early stage wanted, until I was able to cut myself off. I remember myself as a child. My dad's a doctor. My mother is a professor of law. They wanted me to be in academics. I had no business in academics. I wasn't concerned about academics. The last thing I wanted to be was a doctor or even a lawyer. I didn't care about those things. They were of zero value to me. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be an entertainer. I saw myself in entertainment. I didn't understand how I was going to be an entertainer, but do understand. Um, but do understand. Um, I've been talking alone for the last 41 minutes, and 474 people are watching me on Instagram, 105 on YouTube, 119 on Facebook, and about 63 on TikTok. I've been talking alone, and I have over almost 700 people, if not more, watching me, paying attention to what I'm saying. Thank you for giving me your gifts on TikTok. I'm looking for my, please follow my top gifters on TikTok. Big shout out to all my top gifters. Follow my top gifters. I'm also looking for my money guns as usual. So I saw myself in some form of entertainment. I didn't know what it was. I saw it. My parents didn't. But because I was very independent, I was able to put my foot down. Oh, it was not easy. I still have nightmares of me fighting with my dad till today. The last one I had was yesterday. I hadn't had one in a long time. Not that my dad and I are not cool, but I've realized that the toxicity I went through while growing up never really left. And I had a nightmare. And anytime I have those nightmares, I get scared. Let me tell you, I don't chop person inside dream before. You know, fear me like when me going back to the days of my papa. I remember once I had a nightmare that me and person chop person. I was in the university then, you know. But my most fearsome nightmares are nightmares of me going back to that situation where I had to fight my father to get what I wanted. And my father kept saying I was a failure, I was a failure, I was a failure, I was a failure, I was a failure until I left his house and proved myself right. I would have been a failure if I'd listened to him. My mother, realizing that I was a very strong personality, after a while decided to work with me. Okay, what do you want to do? This is what I want to do. So my mother, let me tell you what my mother did. When I was in the university, I wanted to get a job. My mother must have known. Oh wow, somebody sent me a money gun. Thank you so much. Kaka 267. Guys, follow Kaka 267 on TikTok. My mother knew that I was not going to be that academic that they were looking for. Is my dad alive? Yes, my dad is alive and well. My mom knew that I wasn't good. That thing they were looking for, my mom knew they were not going to find it in me. It took her a while to deal with it. But you see, she understood me and started to work with me. Okay, you want to work on the radio? She helped me get my first job. She was one of the people who, because I got a job in Ogun State, and I said, Mommy, I'm going to be going to Ogun State to work on OGBC in OGBC. I hadn't gotten it, but it was more or less promised that, you know what, they need people. We want you to come. So I went to tell my mother. My mother looked at it. She said, if I don't listen to this boy, he will go to this Ogun State. And my heart will be in my mouth every weekend as he's traveling back and forth from Ogun State. So my mother knew someone in Ibadan. and said, you know what? Let me take you to somebody I know so you don't have to be going to this Ogun State. So my mother took me there. I did the audition. I passed. My mother said, you have to be serious in school. She knew I was not going to be more serious than I was. She knew I did not like school. But she still knew that if I derailed and I failed in my path, it would be her problem in future. So she worked with me. My father didn't. I remember when I was working in BCOS, I would go home and my mom would give me her car. BCOS was Makpo. We were living in Arimo then in Ibadan. Makpo to Arimo is like Lekki Phase 1 to... It's actually closer. It's like Lekki Phase 1 to... Lekki Phase 1 gate to maybe Tantalizers. Former Tantalizers. Or from Lekki Phase 1 gate to Lekki Ikoyi Bridge roundabout. That's about the difference from my house to Arimo. Is literally walking distance. So my mom will come home and I'll take the car over to the radio, sleep over in the radio station, then drive home in the morning. Then my mother and I will go to school just to make life a bit convenient for me when I was in the university. My mom would give me extra money because my radio job wasn't paying me that well and I was in school. So my mom would encourage me with a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there just to help me get by. She understood. When I wanted to sing, I wanted to release an album. My mother worked with me. You know, my mother worked with me too. Gave me money, supported me. When I was coming to Lagos, she gave me money. She literally worked with me. By the time I was done with school, I'd already gotten a job in Cool FM. So I got the job in Cool FM before I got posted to serve. As I finished school like this, I went to Cool FM, they employed me. I started work immediately. And by the time I started working Cool FM, within 6 months, I no longer needed any help from my mom. I could manage my life by myself. But she was always there to advise. She worked with me. But you see, the problem is with most parents is they don't understand the calling on their children's lives. So they try to teleguide it. And it is a problem. So let's go back to the topic so we don't get derailed. So why did you score her only 50%? Because she worked with my vision. She didn't understand my vision. She just allowed me. It would have been 80% if she understood the vision. If from a young age, my mother had pushed me towards entertainment instead of towards academics. That's why I gave her 50%. My dad did not understand my calling, did not support it, he never did. He just, I don't hate him for it. I actually believe it made me a better person. Why? Because I knew I was not going to get any support, so I had to just work. It had to work because there's nobody I'm running to. But you see, I wouldn't let my dad make any decisions for me in my life because I know he doesn't understand my gift or my calling. He doesn't know where it's going. So I won't allow him to. And he too doesn't suggest. My dad is not one of those pushy parents that will call and tell you must do it like this. No. I like him for that. He doesn't understand what I am doing, just allows me to do it. And he now in old age supports me. But when I was much younger, he didn't understand it. So what am I trying to say? Sometimes our parents guide us into bad marriages because they don't understand us. When they look They don't see you, they see them. Ah, if my daughter marries this guy, the guy is nice, he comes from a good home. 90% of them are not seeing, is my daughter going to be happy? They are seeing the home, they are seeing the person. You understand? They are seeing, they are seeing themselves. They are taking a decision. Oh my man, thank you so much, guys. Chuksi, guys, big shout out to call me Chucky. Just sent me 3 money guns. God bless you. I'm trying to meet my target of money guns, guys. Please support me. Send me all the money guns. Big shout out to you. So many of you don't understand this, but your parents are not good decision makers for you unless your parents specifically understand your calling. Like Beyonce's father understood Beyonce's calling. Lewis Lewis Hamilton's father understood his calling. Uh, I'll give you one or two other examples. Michael Jackson's father understood what even though he went about it the very wrong way and put the boy through all sorts of hardships, he understood what that boy was good at. He was the first person to see that that boy was a star. Serena Williams, God bless you. So our parents, especially in Nigeria, do not understand what we're cut out to be. Maybe now we are understanding our children's calling a bit better, but from my generation, our parents didn't. And the problem is, many of you involve your parents in decision making, which shouldn't be so. Because somebody who doesn't understand, I'll give you an example. I told you the story about my estate. The other day, uh, a guy came to me and said he wanted to rent house in my estate. Me, where I don't know how much they pay rent for my estate. I tell him, I say, my house is like 3.5 million now. You're not supposed to pass like that. Say 3.5 million. Now the guy say, eh? Now he come. Now we call the first person. The first person says 6.5 million. But the house has already gone. Every other person we saw was 7 million. I can't look like fool. I can't tell the guy, say, make you no vex. So say, last time I checked about 5 years ago, it was like 3 million. So I just believe that it will be 3.5 million. I don't even think 4 million. So I couldn't look and say, this house where they live in, the rent now 7 million a year. I say, or more. This thing I asset to. If I owe too much, if you move, go village, they collect 7 million every year. They manage my life. I now thought of something. A friend of mine, when I bought this property those days, I bought it off plan. You know what off plan means? They've not built it, but they just have a plan. So I called one of the guys. They were selling 2-bedroom flats then. He had about 15 million. He had about 15 million. He wanted to invest it in property. He wanted to get a property. So at that time, they were selling 2-bedroom flats for 15 million. So I took him to see the people. They showed him the plan. Then they took him to one of the fully finished 2-bedroom flats and showed him that, this is what your 2-bedroom flat will look like. So the guy said, okay, he was going to pay. He now told his mother about it. The mother now said, the mother came to see him. The mother said, why will you buy a 2-bedroom house that has just one car park when in Warri, with this 15 million, you can build 4-bedroom bungalow with compound? Now so the mama begin talk to Ramo. Now in this guy go build 2 4-bedroom bungalows with compound in Warri. So when this thing happened, I now remember that guy. I now called him up. I said, how far were your houses in Warren? He said, yeah, they are fine. I said, how are you renting them? He said, yeah, that his mom lives in one and then he's renting out the other one. I said, how much do you collect annually in rent? He said, 350,000. I went back to my estate people. I said, come, two-bedroom flat in this estate, how much is it? They say, at 3.5 million. So his mother gave him what she thought was good advice. He built a house that is worth 700,000 a year, as compared to a two-bedroom flat that is worth 3.5 million a year, 5 times the value. Do you know that if that guy had bought that house, he would have given his mother 500K a year to rent? She would have gotten an even bigger and nicer house than the one she's living in. In fact, with 1 million a year, his mother would have been living in a duplex with compound in that same Warri. It brought us back to, you see, when his mother spoke from her experience and understanding, it looked very wise. But in the reality of the situation, it was a very bad deal. Someone said, John said his mother gave him selfish advice because she wanted to be a landlady. 99% of our parents give selfish advice. That right there is the point I'm looking for. See, John, he said, now bungalows now 400K, 350K now in the guy they even collect. So my problem is when it comes to marriage, your parents will give you selfish advice. When it comes to finances, your parents will give you selfish advice. They will think of themselves when they're advising you. So very often, most people can't marry divorcees because their parents won't let them. Ada Blessing said she doesn't think it was selfish. Whether it was selfish or not, it was very horrible advice. Very horrible advice. I, for instance, I don't allow my mother interfere in my life, in my marriage, in my mommy advise me, no. I go and meet my mother and I tell her what I'm doing. I appreciate her input, I appreciate her love, but I know what God showed me, he did not show her. God did not do conference call the day he was calling me. Somebody says nobody knows tomorrow. But you see, you are better off investing in a metropolitan city than investing in a rural area. Am I connecting with you? Now, if the mother had said, build me a house, is different. The mother gave him bad financial advice. Someone says, what about if the government comes to the said estate and that then belongs to them and demolishes the buildings? The mom's advice would have been better. If the government does not demolish this estate in the next 10 years, he would have earned 35 million naira from this estate. If they come and demolish it, he has made his money back ×2. In 100 years, he will not make his money back from where his mother kept it. Think about it like that. So I'm just going to bring two people. So now when it comes to marriage, I believe your parents should guide you instead of advise you. Your parents should allow you to take, and that's what I love my parents for, my mom and my dad. When it came to my marriage, anyway, by the time I was ready to get married, I don't stubborn where, so nobody did look for my trouble. When it came to my first marriage, my dad never said no. You want to marry? Okay. Even though my dad had reservations about my ex's family, he never voiced them to me. My mom tried to, women always want to. My dad never said anything, just kept quiet. If that's what you want. He encouraged, and he was nice to her. In all fairness, my dad was nice to her. And when the marriage no work again, I tell them, say, this marriage no work. Oh. I know they do again. Oh. They said, okay, what are your thoughts? I shared my thoughts. When I was ready, I said, this is the person I want to marry now. My parents said once again, they said, okay. They allowed me to take the driver's seat. So I can never hold them responsible for my bad marriage. I can never. My marriage failed. I can never hold my father. I can't hold him because he never pushed me into it. He didn't do it for his own reason. No, I want you to marry this person. Okay, that's what you want. Are you sure you want that? Okay, no problem. So sometimes when it comes to relationships, your parents need to take the back seat, guide you, but allow the decision to be yours. And when I say decision, you like intercourse. This guy you're with is not handsome. He doesn't have that amazing job, but he can take care of himself. But he has the kind of bola you like. Your mother will not understand that. And you bring two guys, one gets small bola, but big salary. This other one, yeah, big bola and smaller salary. Your mother will tend to want to follow that one, that not knowing what you are enjoying when the doors are closed. Because guess what? You will follow that small bola with big salary. You go come, they collect the big bola for the back. And then it will look like you made a bad decision. Meanwhile, it is your parents' teleguidance. Let me just take two calls over 5 minutes. I'm not going to take long because time don't go. I'm going to bring in Samaria. Thank you, all of you who've been sending me money guns. Call me Chucky. Thank you. Send me 4 money guns on TikTok. God bless you. Let me bring Samaria and let me bring Ada. Let me just hear what they have to say, and then we call it a day. Samaria, how are you doing?
Daddy Freeze, good evening.
Good evening. What are your thoughts? Sean Leeds, let me bring you too. Let's have a guy.
Oh, let me show my friends. Thank God I'm good today. Daddy Freeze, you said it all. So where would you like me to contribute?
Hi,
on?
Samaria.
Anything,
Hi, Daddy
anything.
Freeze.
Whatever your thoughts
Hi
are.
everyone watching.
Anything.
Good. When it comes to this issue of you've said it all. When it comes to people being a single parent, it comes with a lot of experience and a lot of things, knowledge. It all depends on the basic for the singlehood. There are some kind of single parents that would result as that would be some kind of an experience, and where people learn their mistake and then move on. While some, like you rightly said, they still don't know. So even if you give them 20 years, they will still make that mistake. But then when it comes to people, being or marrying overseas, that's a choice. I mean, I think it's a typical Nigerian because overseas people don't care how many kids you have. As a matter of fact, you'll be thinking like, "Oh, my marriage is about to end," or you'll be thinking like, "Oh, I'm in my marriage for like how long?" And most people will be looking at you like, "Are you all right?" We're saying that we're in our 4th marriage, 6th marriage. You are just in 1 marriage. Especially on you, they'll be like, something was wrong with you for you to have been in your first marriage, for so long. When people are in their 6th and 5th marriages, so it's not even a big deal anymore. And like I said, so for example, let's say myself, there are certain things that I would see right now, and I don't need a soothsayer to tell me it's a red flag. You know. There are things that, and it's been helpful. It's not good in at a point, but it's also good. It's not good in the sense that um, it kind of it makes you most people. It helps you to set a limit. Okay, you set boundaries to certain things. You don't want it to repeat again. But there are things that I don't understand, especially when it comes to my gender. No woman would willingly leave a marriage. That's number one. In the other day, you were saying that any woman that leaves a man, this action of thing. I was just nodding my head because that's true. You know, nobody snatches your woman away from you. It's difficult for a woman to walk out of a marriage. Should a woman walk out of a marriage? First of all, we are. I mean, look at. Let's be real with ourselves. You see how you try to. Men propose to women in public. The women seem overexcited. They are jumping up and down. They are telling everybody, "Oh, I'm engaged. He proposed. He proposed." Look at the excitement. So let's be real to an extent. If someone was that happy to be called a miss, I mean, it's not easy for them to eventually come out from the same place that gave them joy, to come out from the same place that they were once excited over. So it doesn't give any woman happiness, joy to come out from something that she had wanted to be in. And even if it gives her joy at that moment, she wouldn't want it to be repeated. He wouldn't want it to be repeated. So for that reason, people tend to be extra careful, before deciding the next thing, the next step. And that, like I said, it has its, cons and pros in the sense that you're extremely careful. And that way, when you see a red flag, you're able, both as a man, as a woman, both gender, you're able to detect it and tell yourself, this is not good. History is about to repeat itself. And at the same time, to some people, they'll feel like, oh, you're doing too much. He's being too picky. He's being too picky. Oh, his ego is too high. No. They are trying not to let the same mistake that happened before repeat itself.
Okay.
So that's how I see it. So people just marry. I don't mind if I were a man. What I'm looking at, like I said, you've already summarized everything, is not how many kids you have. The kids you have, are they well raised? Are they respectful enough? Are you doing your job as a mother? That's what matters. Are you doing your job as a father? What is your personality? Who are you? What are you going to give me that peace of mind, that joy? Are you willing to, work with me? Are we willing to work with each other? That's what I look at.
Okay.
And if you don't have drama, that's fine. You don't have a lot of, especially, sorry, I forgot to say this. Being a single father, being a single mother comes with not being a single mother with different kids from different fathers. That one is complicated. I wouldn't do that. Because there are people who don't just have one, they have a lot. Dramas everywhere. So that one is different. Those people need to go and sit down and put their lives together. Because the problem there, the issue there is, in a bid to shame your ex, you jump into something else and you end up making the same mistake that you made. Before you know it, because it's the competition. You're just trying to rush in there simply because you think the person is better than the person you had. You're trying to tell him that, you moved on, tell her you have moved on. Before you know it, the mistake will repeat itself. And some people don't even define what it is they have. They're just there, they're carried away at the time, it's not defined. Before you know it, you have another child. And then the relationship ends. And you're left with another child. By so doing, you have like 3 or 4 from different fathers. 2 different fathers. So those ones, one's beaten. I mean, I'll just let someone else speak for now.
All right. Thank you so much. Ada, your thoughts in 1 minute.
Do I go next? Okay.
By the way, I love your hair.
What topic? It's weak. Thank you.
Anything we've said. Let's just hear.
Yeah, you've spoken on a lot of things. You've spoken about marriage, parents making decisions for us. Okay, let me stick on the parents making decisions for us. Great topic, by the way. I must thank my parents for being like your mom. I would say my parents were never the type to dictate for us what to become. They were always ready to just guide us. I remember when I told my dad I wanted to do mass communication after mentioning about 4 careers. The only thing he said was, those people, they trek, their shoes, they get for ground. No. That's what he said. And then he said, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But today, he's enjoying it. And I think parents should actually be their kids' counselors and guardians. And about marrying single mothers, being a single mom is not a disease. It's not a crime. Most of these people did not desire to be single parents. Some of them, they got off bad relationships. And I think it's unfair judging them just because a relationship did not work. Would you have Would you rather have them dead in their previous relationships or have them alive and, of course, more experience? Because even without being married, I've been in few relationships, and I can say for a fact that working out of those relationships, I've learned a lot. And I think those people that are single parents and single mothers, those people are not dumb. Like you said, if they were good people, definitely now they are more experienced. And if I were to be a guy, I think I would go for a single mom. That way, she would get to cherish me even more because nobody would want a second failed marriage. Nobody wants that, just like you rightly said. So I think people should stop the whole stigmatization. It's unfair, honestly.
Thank you so much, Ada, and God bless you. And Sean, leads.
Yes, DF. I think I'm going to start with maybe referencing your daughter because I think we've discussed this topic briefly before. I think in Africa there's a big problem with parents trying to. Obviously Danielle, I believe that's your daughter's name. That's the way she put it. Parents trying to relive their life through their kids. You know, everyone. Unless if you're lucky, everyone has been affected by it one way or the other. For example, my parents are in the medical fields. My dad wanted me to study medicine. I hate blood. I cannot stand blood. It doesn't make any logical sense. But for them at the time, it's like, oh, we're in the UK, so kids is doing medicine. This one is doing engineering. You're going to make a lot of money out of it. They've already planned your life for you. But that's not your calling. So if you understand what I'm saying, so a lot of time is that African mentality is like, oh, I'm older than you. You know that adage in Yoruba now, like what a old person says, if a young child says he's going to go blind it always plays a point, because they always want to plan your life for you, rather than, like you said, like you to understand your child and be like, what's the purpose of this kid? What's his interest? How can I help him to reach his goals or attain his potential, stuff like that. We don't have that. It's changing now. And the second about dating diversity, I think it's just it just shows the kind of level we are still in that part of the world, because over here, I think it was Samaria that says it. The major problem is, as long as you're not bringing a toxic baby father, like if I'm dating someone now, if I'm dating Samaria, for example, and let's say Samaria's got a kid, as long as the baby dad is not like a gangbanger that's going to come over and beat me up or whatever, who cares? You understand what I'm saying? Like over here, people don't really think about that. You will see some situations where the current partner and the ex-partner, they will meet up in terms of, oh, I don't want you to discipline my child. If my child is being naughty, report him to me. They will even some. Look. I know it's not a good reference, but look at Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, and his ex-wife. They go on holiday together. So it depends on how you sort things out. But but in Nigeria, you still got that kind of mentality, like, oh, you married a divorcee, it's not fresh off the block or whatever, people. But that's all I've got to say, to be honest.
Let me say something real quick based on our parents' aspect.
All right,
their influence. Okay, let me just make it quick. That example you gave is a typical example of what our parents, most of them, do. They want their children, they want their sons to come and erect buildings, build structures in the village and wherever it is they like, just for the sake. The fact that they wake up in the morning and then they will come out and boast and tell, oh, that's Mama Ifani, whomever's mom. That's her son's house. Okay, this is this woman's son's house. This is what they want. If you build that in the city to them, I don't know if I'll call it selfishness or I will say it's their mentality. I don't know how to say it, or their ego, or their hierarchy. I don't know how to put it, but that's just what most of them want. They don't care where. If you build it in the big cities, to them, those places don't make sense. The ones that they want to see are those ones that they will see near, the one they will pass by, and then people will say, yeah, that's her son's house. And that's selfishness, because you build those mansions there, you don't even live there, just roaches.
Sorry, Samari. I think a lot of the problem as well is when you deep it, a lot of our parents, like, I mean, when you see the DF, for example, now, not to rub his ego, you can tell that he loves what he's doing. He loves talking. He loves, that's his passion. A lot of our parents don't. Their job is not their passion. It's basically because of like, I'm academic. This group pays well. I mean, again, I'll use my personal story. Like, there was a time I had to tell my dad, like, listen, since I've known you, my dad is a psychiatrist. Every time you come home, you always complain about how busy it is. Whether when we're in Nigeria or whether you're in the UK. Clearly, you missed the calling somewhere in your life where you didn't follow your passion. You did something that you thought it was going to make you money, but you're not enjoying it. So why do you want to go through that again? It doesn't make any logical sense, but I can see maybe, you're coming from Africa where it's like things are hard. You want to do what you think is going to take you out of that poverty, but it doesn't really mean that's what you want to do. And you kind of translate the ideology to your kids as well as you're raising them like, you have to make a quick buck, you're good in this, you need to be an engineer, you need to be an architect because they pay a lot of money. This is the way out, and there's loads of other things the kid can be doing that they probably will enjoy, So that's what I wanted to add. So sorry.
All right.
My dad didn't make any decision for me. He worked with INEC at the time, then, but he wasn't the one that told me go and do nursing. I chose to do nursing. In fact, it was my big brother that insisted, okay, I want you to go do nursing. So I'm not sure. My dad wasn't the type that had to tell or enforce his children on the exact thing or profession to follow. He didn't do that.
Maybe all right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your stories. God bless you. Look forward to being with you again same time tomorrow and also earlier on the day.
Thank you, DF.
Thank you, Daddy Priest. Thank you, DF.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.